Alright guys, it's Sean from Blub, and today I wanted to go through the Mintsoft integration that we have developed with you guys, and specifically the ASN segment of that integration, and even more specifically how it will handle purchase orders and receipts of goods. So getting straight into it, if I come into Cin7 and I raise a new purchase order, which will always be the start of this workflow, we can create ASNs via transfers as well from a warehouse that is not linked to Mintsoft to a warehouse that is linked to Mintsoft, but I'll cover that in a separate video. But for now, if I was to raise a new purchase order, firstly, this is going to be a lot of Cin7 related stuff, so we'll put in our supplier like so. We will put in all of our information here, so you can see our contact and shipping information is all in here. We'll need to specify a required by date for the ASN's arrival, so that is a key required field here, and this is when the Mintsoft team will expect those goods to arrive for, and that is a requirement on the ASN, so we'll put in a date there of the 8th. What we can then do is we can then select the warehouse. Now this is important because the warehouse is going to dictate whether the integration picks it up or not, so you're always going to want to have the Mintsoft location being used here. Now that will differ for all of you in terms of what you name your Mintsoft location, but it will always need to be that location selected. And I mean, if you're doing this properly, you'd also select that as your shipping address as well. Once that information's been added, we can then scroll down as we typically would, and we can start adding in our product information. So in here I can put in my Mintsoft product. We can receive some of those in. We can do our Mintsoft batch product, so we can show you some batch receipts of goods as well. Put in a couple of these items, and we can also, just to show you, we can add a service item here as well, so we can show shipping. Now that we've added our products, the next step in a real scenario would likely be you confirming this with the supplier, so we would typically save this. Seems like we have an error here. I haven't put a value in against my shipping. So we typically save this and then email this to our supplier until we have confirmation that, on the shipping date and on whether they're going to ship it, at which point we would come back into Cin7 and authorize it. And that's the point where the integration is now going to pick this up and push it into Mintsoft. The integration will do this on a regular basis, but that may vary from account to account because that's something our developers can change based on essentially how many calls you're paying for in between the two systems. So that one is one that will vary. But from here, I will jump into the Mintsoft integration here just to show you how it's working while it does sync across. So if I just find our purchasing ASN workflow here, if it's just above here, here we go. So currently we have our purchase order, we have our location specified that is a Mintsoft location and a linked location to Mintsoft, and like I say there, that is an important factor. We have the status of the order set to ordered because we have now authorized it, and then an authorized order of Cin7 is the ordered status, you can see there. So now that we've done that, the API is going to go on a regular call, and it's going to pick up or do the following thing. It's going to, like I say, poll at an interval. It's going to do the purchase order mapping to the warehouse ASN, and providing the locations and SKUs match in both systems, it's going to do the following. Now the SKU should match in both systems because, as I've covered in the previous video, the Cin7 products are going to be synced live with the Mintsoft products, meaning any products in Cin7 should also exist in Mintsoft. So this should be fine. The locations, like I say, will need to match. So the location name in Mintsoft will need to be the same as the location name in Cin7. Providing all of that's done, you will then get a new ASN created and confirmed in Mintsoft. And the warehouse will be the same warehouse location you selected in Cin7. So if you do have multiple warehouses in your Mintsoft instance, if you select the correct warehouse, that information will also pull through. I'm now going to open up Mintsoft, and I'm going to go to my ASNs, and I'm going to hope that the poll has taken place here, and if not, I will have to pause for a second just for that to carry out its process. So our order number here was 458. And within here, we have 458. So that has come through. It's come through as awaiting approval. So we can then choose if we want to approve that or not. But I can click into this now. Actions, I can manage my ASN, and I could approve the ASN if I want to here. Now that ASN's been approved, I can start to receive in the goods for that item, or for that order, sorry. This is all typically stuff that, you know, Mintsoft or whoever your 3PL is who's working with Mintsoft would know better than I. But they will go through their process of receiving in these goods. So in my case, I'm just going to receive both of these lots of goods, so our batch products and our regular products. This process shouldn't change at all for them. They'll click, well, they'll do their receipt process. We can assign and book in our goods here. I haven't pressed save. That's going to be an issue, I think. And now if I assign locations and book in, we should be able to progress. Like I say, if there's any tips or any recommendations you guys can make based on your experience of Mintsoft, anything would be appreciated in the comments. So feel free to let us know if there's a certain way you're using it or differing methodology that's a common practice, and we can see about onboarding that information. So here we've got our receipts process, so I can provide a batch number. I'm just going to call these goods test batch here, like so. We have a quantity of 5 that's being used, or 5 that's being received, and we've got the same in our other items that we have here. I'm just going to now assign this and then complete this to say it's booked in. Or book in this ASN. Like I say, I'm not too much of a Mintsoft expert. I've just used it and tested it during this integration period. There we go. Our items have now been booked in on there. So if I go back to our ASNs section of Mintsoft now, we should now see that that has now been classed as booked in. There's two, well, as soon as it gets that booked in status, the integration will then pick it up from there. So if we go back to our documentation here, we can see that ASN gets booked in. Stock assignments, including batch and serial numbers and expiry dates, are provided if applicable. So providing you provided your batch and your serial numbers, it will push through okay. Now one caveat we do have here, this does say serial numbers. We found that in that process I just showed you, there isn't anywhere to add serial numbers, and thus serialized products don't seem to have a serial number in Mintsoft, at least at the point of receiving the goods in, and that means it can't push across correctly into Cin7 Core. Now this might just be a user issue, so once again, if anyone does know about that and how you can set that up so it does ask you to assign serial numbers, please let us know. But serial numbers aren't currently working with the integration, and we can update you in the description or the comments if that does change. From there though, now that that's got that booked in status and we've got our batch numbers against our batch products, it's now going to do that once again, that regular pull. It's going to then book in the goods and match it to the purchase order to add the stock receipt information into Cin7. So if we go back into Cin7 now, we have our draft stock received here. I presume if I refresh right now, this is still going to be blank because I haven't waited long enough. Like I say, for us, this is currently on a 5-minute period. But once that's then that integration has then gone off again, we'll see that come back across. For reference, just before I pause to wait for that to happen, we do have this little sent to Mintsoft tag. So if you're ever wondering why an order hasn't been shipped or hasn't appeared in Mintsoft, if it hasn't got this tag, the integration hasn't picked it up. If it has got this tag, the integration has picked it up and it's waiting for something on Mintsoft's end. But I'm going to pause now, like I say, and just wait for that integration to pass back across that stock receipt information. So I'll be with you shortly. So I've just refreshed again, it's been a couple of minutes, and we can see that the stock receipt has now been completed with our test batch now appearing within here and our regular finished good also being received in. We can see exactly when that's taken place and all of our details should align, ready for the final step of the process, which is invoicing. And that'll be it in terms of the Mintsoft integration, pretty much end to end. Probably worth mentioning there, like I just said about the invoice. The stock receipt will need to be available as a draft for it to be filled in, which means if you are invoicing first, you will need to authorize the invoice before you can receive the stock in. So it's probably worth keeping that in mind. other than that, that will be the integration end to end. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have any questions on it, obviously please feel free to leave some questions in the comments. And once again, if you're looking to implement an integration here, or looking for help in doing so, please get in touch. That'll be from me today, and goodbye.